Uh,
What is your name?
yeah, my name is Antonio.
Nice to meet you. Where are you from? Where are
Nice
you?
to meet you too.
Where are you from?
I'm from Peru,
Peru.
South
Awesome.
America.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I saw you in another come into the class a couple days ago and then didn't stay. So welcome.
thanks a lot. Your name is Holly, right?
Yeah, my name is Holly. Yep. It's
Okay,
nice to
Holly,
meet you.
nice to meet you too. Okay.
All right. All right. So yeah. So during this hour, we are going to work on complex prepositions. So
Okay, fine. Complex.
yeah.
Complex prepositions. Okay.
Yeah, and their complex prepositions are basically words with more than one preposition, basically some phrases. So more or less prepositional phrases and so forth. So nice to meet you, Antonio.
Nice to meet
Hello,
you too.
Jean. And hello, Giancarlo. How are you doing today? Okay, Antonio, are you a teacher?
No, no, I'm not. Why do you think so?
Because it says e-teacher.
Yeah, because I teach my community. I teach English by community. I mean, people
Oh,
that live near my house. Yeah.
oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
You teach English or not Spanish? Okay. All right.
Yeah, English. Mhm.
Nice. All right. And Giancarlo, are you there?
Yes, Holly, good
Hi.
evening.
Nice to
Hi,
see you. How are you doing today?
just fine, thank you. Waiting for your class, thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. It's nice to see you again. Yeah,
How do you feel now?
I'm getting
Better?
yeah, I'm getting better. Every day I'm getting better and better. So,
Mm.
yesterday it was only one class, so that was good because no, I guess I had two classes, but today it's better, and then tomorrow it'll be even better. So, uh,
Your voice sounds a little bit rested, and I can hear you better right now.
yeah, was it more difficult to understand me yesterday?
No, 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 it was okay, but just the situation was that you felt terrible
Yeah,
yesterday.
I, I did. Yeah. So Antonio, I was sick most of the week. I caught a cold on Sunday. So
Okay, I think it was. I don't know, but I hope that you have got it over.
I hope so
Right.
too. Yeah. The last class I taught two classes one class at 7 and one class at 8, and now it's 10 o'clock. And the 7 and 8 o'clock class, I was coughing a little bit, and
Oh,
that's it. So so I'll just have
wow.
you guys talk more. So you guys will have
Okay.
more of the speaking, and I'll just get to listen. So I've
Yeah.
had classes like that. I don't know if I've never done a preposition class like that, but I have had classes where I used to sit back and listen to everybody talk. So
Yeah, and prepositions, difficult prepositions.
yeah, complex prepositions. So complex prepositions. Let's read what this is. Giancarlo, can you read the sentence?
The
Um,
sentence.
right under it says prepositions one, time, and place. Can you read what it explains what complex prepositions are?
Yes, complex prepositions are phrases of two or more words which have the same function as one word. Prepositions.
Yeah.
Study the table below.
So we'll look at the table below. And so what we're going to do is we're going to systematically go through this table, and we might have a conversation based on some of these sentences, and we might or might not, depending on the sentences themselves. But let's go ahead and look at these. So the first one we have ahead of. Antonio, can you read the
Yep.
example?
Yeah. Usain, what you're saying, is going to win this race. He's ahead of the other runners.
He's ahead of the other runners. Yeah, it's interesting. You would think in English material that they would use English names, but for some reason they've chosen not to. Yeah, so he's going to win this race. He's ahead of the other runners. Okay.
Usain Bolt, no? Usain
Yeah,
Bolt.
the ones that are in bold ahead of.
But
Perfect.
his name is pronounced Usain or Usain.
I don't know. It's not an English name, so
Oh,
and that's what's weird about it. So
Jamaican name, I think.
is that what it is? I don't know what language it's
He's
from.
from Jamaica, I think.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
must be Jamaican. Jamaican name.
Okay, well, Jamaicans are good runners, so
Yeah.
that is very true. All right, we have away from. Giancarlo, can you read that one?
The cat ran away from the dangerous dog.
Yeah, so the cat ran away from the dangerous dog. Good. Um, close to. Antonio.
Okay, I don't need to commute to work every day. The office is very close to my house.
So, how about you, Antonio? Do you need to commute every day, or how close is your office to your home?
Well, I want to be sure about how long a place must be in order to be considered, in order to commute. I understand the meaning of commute, but what I
Mm-hmm.
don't know exactly is how long it must be to be considered the reason to commute.
Um,
Perhaps in my case, perhaps it's not so long. That's why I don't commute. I think I don't commute.
uh-huh.
But
Do you, how I see it, if you commute, you actually get in a car.
okay,
Um,
yeah, I go to work by car, but I don't know
how
if
how far is it?
it takes me around 35 minutes, but not because of the distance, but it's because of the heavy
Traffic.
traffic. So I'm not
But
sure.
yeah, but so that is, you actually still have a 35-minute commute. So technically your office is not very close to your home. So
Okay,
yeah, yeah. So
okay, I got it.
where, for example, my brother-in-law, his commute is 2 blocks away, so he just walks down the street. So technically he doesn't commute because he just walks down the
Mhm.
street.
Okay.
Where, I work from home, so my commute is very close.
Mhm.
So, Giancarlo, how about you? What is your commute like? Do you live close to your office?
No, no, yeah, I don't need to commute to work because my office is 5 minutes from home.
Uh-huh.
So I go to my office by foot or by feet.
On foot.
Okay.
On foot. I go to my office on foot. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I enjoy it because most of the time when in the past my job was far from home, so
Mhm.
my commute was very, very, very long, maybe 1 hour and almost 2 hours sometimes. And now I am enjoying my new job. I love it, and of
Mhm.
course, I have the energy when I get the office to do my job. In the past, my energy was in my car, and I got really, really tired to my office. But now, fortunately, I don't commute to
Mhm.
work.
Mhm. Cool. That is very nice. It's nice. Before I started teaching again, I at home I worked for about a year away from home, and it was like you, it was an hour commute, and when I came back, I was like, oh, this is so nice. So.
Mhm.
Yes, and you know, Holly, if people would understand that commuting to work is a waste of time, maybe people would decide not to commute every day, and maybe
Mhm.
um, companies and the society, maybe the government, must do something in order to organize these kind of
Mhm.
situations in our lives,
Yeah.
because part of our lives is trapped in a car or in the roads on roads,
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
subways or in subway metros,
Mhm.
and it's terrible. It's
Mhm.
terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have the energy to do our jobs in a perfect way.
Mhm. I for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, I worked for a company, yeah, out of Oregon, and all of their employees, except for about 15, 20, worked at home. And so they had a very small office in Eugene, Oregon. And their employees were working on average 12-hour days. And we had all the flexibility that we needed. I would work from 8 a.m. until about 2 p.m. Then I'd work again from 8 p.m. till about 2 a.m. or midnight, depending. And if I had to commute and I had to go to a work office every day, they would not have gotten as much much work out of me because of the commute. And
Wow.
my colleagues and I, we all talked about it, and it was one of the smartest things that they ever did was to decide to get talent from around the U.S. instead of just their local community because we were all well paid, we were all professionals, but we were basically allowed to choose when we worked and so forth, and we they got their money's worth out of us, out of all of us, as far as I know. But yeah, so hello, Alejandro. How are you?
Hello, fine, thank you.
So we were just talking about commuting. How long is your commute? Is your office very close to your house, or are you pretty far from your house?
Yeah, sure. 10 blocks approximately. I go by walk
Okay, so you go on foot, and
on
you
foot.
go,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
or you could say instead of by foot, you can say I walk to work every day.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And Antonio, what do you think about what um, we were saying about commuting? Do you agree that companies should allow more telecommuting? What do you think? Antonio, are you there? Okay, maybe he stepped away. So let's go on to the next one. We have in between. Alejandro, can you read the next sentence, the example sentence?
Yes. The Irish Sea is in between Ireland and Britain.
Okay, Irish Sea is in between Ireland and Britain. Okay, so tell me, Alejandro, you are from Argentina, which could you tell us where is Argentina by practicing in between?
Yes. It's between Chile and Uruguay.
Chile and Uruguay. Okay, excellent. And Antonio, are you there? Okay, so Giancarlo, how about Mexico? Where is Mexico?
Sorry,
Oh,
just
no worries.
Yes.
Okay, Antonio,
yeah.
where is Peru? Where
Well,
is
Peru
Peru?
is located in South America. It's
Uh-huh.
in the west. It's next to Brazil. In the north, Ecuador, and in the
Okay.
south, Chile.
Okay, so we're practicing in between though.
Okay, Peru is in between the Pacific Ocean and Brazil.
Okay, the Pacific Ocean and Brazil. Awesome. Thank you. And Giancarlo, how about Mexico
Mexico is in between the United States and Guatemala.
and Guatemala? Okay.
And Guatemala.
And the U.S. is in between Canada and Mexico. Or we can say Idaho is in between, from the north and south, between Canada to the north and Utah to the south. But we have
Yes.
lots of other states near us as well.
Yeah. But what's the difference between the Irish Seas in between Ireland and Britain and the Irish Seas between, not in between?
You can say either one of them. You can say the Irish Sea is between Ireland and Britain, or you can say in between. So you can use what's nice about this, learning these complex prepositions, is you can learn that there is more than one way to say the same thing. So
Okay.
So it's question of just only using it, or it depends on which area of the USA you are in order to use it.
No, it has nothing to do with the USA at all.
Okay. It's just
So
only depending on each one of us.
yeah,
If we
yeah.
want to use it, not we want.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, Antonio, as I'm kind of weird in that respect. I actually taught English in Europe for about 11 years, and I
Okay.
prefer to use British English material. And the reason I do is that way when I see the British material, then I can say, okay, in the U.S. we say it that way. So I can teach both British and American English instead of using only American material. So, so as an American, I'm kind of weird that way.
Okay. Fine.
So, all right. And now in front of Antonio, can you read the
Yes, of course. The dog ran into no. The dog ran in front of the car and was nearly killed.
All right. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever hit a dog or a cat or an animal of any kind?
No, fortunately. Sometimes I can see that there are people that on their way to the beach, I mean, they drive along the highway.
Mm-hmm.
I usually see poor dogs or cats, that are killed by the fast cars, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't avoid, they can't help it because it's a highway, and some dogs try to cross it.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
run in front of the cars, and well, they are killed. No?
And
But
in
people
in
can't
my
do anything about it.
yeah, in my area of the country, it's not really dogs and cats as much. Of course, they get in the way, but it's deer. Um, we get a lot of deer that die, or even fatalities with people dying because a deer has jumped in front of a car, and
Well,
it's quite
one
common.
question. I understand that there is a synonym of in front of, which is across from. I know
Mm-hmm.
that if two places such as, let's say, a library and a movie theater,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a road, an avenue, or a street, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that separates these two places, you can use across from and
Yes.
not in front of. No?
Perfect.
In this
Yes.
case, if the sentence says the car ran in front of the car, this animal is supposed to be on the street. So why not the dog ran across from the car?
Because usually when we use the that's a good question. Usually when you use that complex preposition of across from, we're actually the two items are stationary, or the two things that are across from. They're either they might not be stationary all the time, but at least they're stationary. But when you have in front of the dog ran in front of the car, the both of them are moving. The car and the dog.
Okay, so in order to use across from, the two things must be stationary.
Yeah.
They cannot move. They must be
Mhm.
there. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
well, at least
I got it.
not. And you can say like two people are sitting across from each other, but they're sitting at the time. Now they not might not always be sitting there all the time. It's not a permanent situation, you
Hmm.
know, the two individuals. But I've never heard of across from used the way this in front of is used. So good question though.
Hmm.
All right,
Okay, yes.
it's obvious that you're an English teacher, so
Hmm.
and so
Yeah,
Jean,
sometimes people ask that question. Hmm.
yeah. Giancarlo, near to. Can you read the definition of near to?
Yeah. There is a gym near to my office, which is really convenient. It's just 5 minutes walk.
Yeah, and talking about the difference between British English and American English, I personally do not like this complex preposition. I hear it and I think to myself, why don't people just say near? Why do people always have to say near to? So, but that's the way I think. But near to is just one possibility, but near works just as well. So, Giancarlo,
Yes.
what is something that is near to your office?
Um, there is a cafe near to my
Hmm.
office, or it's the same to say near to my office or close to my office.
It's the exact same. Hmm.
Okay. There is a cafe near to my office. There is an OXXO near to my office.
A what?
Well, a convenience store.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? That's all I think. So there is a cafe and there is a convenience store near to my office. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. And
Yeah.
Alejandro, what is near to your office?
A subway, for example, the Buenos Aires Port um, and other office of buildings. A
Okay.
lot of
A
lot
lot
of
of different office. Okay. So you live in you work in an office complex or an office
yeah.
where a lot of offices are. Okay.
Yeah.
And Antonio, how about you? What is near to your office?
Okay, there's a very good restaurant
Mhm.
near my office.
Mhm.
But I know that I can also say near to my office.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that now. But
Yeah.
it sounds like a little bit British, no? Near to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's British. I just have never liked it. When I've had to teach it for years and I've never liked it.
But when I watch American movies, I hear the word near. I think they don't tend to say near to.
I don't think they do. I think this is more of a British thing. I agree totally with you. So, all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me, Holly. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
There is an apostrophe after minutes walk. Is it
Okay.
correct to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, this actually is a possessive. And the reason it's this apostrophe isn't between the E and the S is because the
Something belongs to that thing.
the minutes belong to the walk. It's a 5 minutes walk, but also it's 5 minutes. So when you have a word that has, for example, what's a name that has an S at the end? Can you think of a name that has an S at the end?
And es Carlos,
Carlos.
Charles.
Okay, Charles or Carlos. Okay, so
Charles Pencil, for example.
okay, let's say
Chances.
Charles's pencil. Okay, that's actually how we would. I've spelled it wrong. I'm just gonna put Carlos. I can't even think of how to spell Carlos's pencil. So that is actually how you would actually do the possessive here, because you otherwise you would be adding an extra S there. It'd be an S comma S. That doesn't make sense. You still pronounce it. You'd say Carlos's pencil, but you don't actually add any other words. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know that there are two rules. Maybe if the name ends with S, for example,
Mhm.
Louis or Charles or whatever,
Mhm.
something belongs to him or her, whatever. But in this example, the walk belongs to the 5 minutes. It's my
Mhm.
question.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a 5 minutes walk.
No, but
Uh,
Yeah, which is
could
kind of
it
strange.
could it be without apostrophe and just say it's just 5 minutes walk? Because I've heard this expression before without the apostrophe.
Yeah, you can do it without the apostrophe. Yeah, it's just a 5 minutes walk.
Yeah, I think it's the most correct
Yeah.
thing to say 5 minutes walk.
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
in some you can use it without apostrophe,
Yeah, you could
right?
be. You'd have to
And
say it is just a 5 minutes walk.
Yeah,
okay,
because
That's where
when
you.
something sorry, because when something belongs to another thing, we can use of. For example, the door of the house, the
Yes.
window of the room,
Hmm.
and in here it could be it's just 5 minutes of the walk, maybe.
5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of a walk.
or the walk of a minute.
A walk of 5 minutes. It's just a walk of 5 minutes.
So the thing I don't understand is apostrophe, but as you said, Holly, yes, without apostrophe in this
Yeah.
example.
I mean, if I were writing this, I wouldn't have used an apostrophe. I know why it's there. I understand why it's there, but I would have put an article there, and I would have said it is just a 5 minutes walk. So
Yeah, yeah.
Without the apostrophe.
yeah, without the apostrophe.
I believe
Yeah,
This
also
one,
without the letter S. I mean, he is a 5-year-old boy, for
it's a five.
example.
Yeah,
But you don't say
that's a
5 years
5 minute
old boy.
walk. Yeah, that's right. It's so you would write it as it is just a 5 minute.
Minute walk.
You're right.
walk. Yeah, these are the things that confuse me, Holly.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
So,
unfortunately, Um, unfortunately, it's just the I guess it's just the beast of English.
Yeah.
There's and then and the thing is, it isn't just years ago, back when I first started teaching English in '94, it was British English and American English. And now people are talking about, all the gurus are talking about world English, okay? Because there are so many different ways of using the English language and speaking English. You've got the two big ones, British English and American English, but 90% of the time when you guys speak English outside of the US or outside of England, you're speaking to a non-native speaker of English. And they're really pushing world English now. And so because of that, there's a lot of even more different idioms and more different slang, because you've got Indian English, Filipino English, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And Holly, sometimes I think these kind of exercises are written by non speakers. I mean,
Uh-huh.
non-English speakers. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, written by people from different languages, not
The,
English.
they might be. I know that the I don't think with this material with this company that I got this material from, but the other one I have two sets of materials, and the other one I think you're right. I question that sometimes. I'm like going, is that really,
It doesn't sound American. It doesn't
yeah,
sound
doesn't
natural.
sound British. That doesn't sound right. But yeah, with this material, I definitely think it was. And if it wasn't written by a native, it was at least edited and proofed by a native. So yeah.
Yeah, but the most important thing here in this hour is your voice, your
Hmm.
pronunciation, because you
Hmm.
are a native speaker, and I love
Hmm.
to I love to listen to your voice because you speak natural. This is the
Yeah.
thing I love to.
Good. And I try not to speak slow. I think that is the worst. Personally, I think that is the worst thing that a native English teacher can do for their students. I used to tell my students when I was teaching in corporations that I wanted to be the most difficult speaker of English for them. And if they can understand me, they can understand anyone.
Yeah,
And I remember I would have students, I would always, I'd start these courses, and I'd always ask my students what their what do you call it? What their learning goals were, or what they expected from me as a teacher. And every once in a while, I'd get a class that say, "We want you to speak slow," and I would look at them in a really straightforward way, and I would say no, and they would
no,
be
no.
like, "Oh, really?" And and then 3 or 4 weeks later, after they got used to my English, then they would say, "Thank you, Holly, for refusing to say
Yes, yes, and this is the thing I wanted to ask you. Please, Holly,
no."
speak
Uh-huh.
fast, speak fast, 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 because
Yeah, I
it's a
try to
challenge
speak as
for me.
fast as I can. So there are some times, depending on if there's somebody in the class that doesn't understand, I notice that sometimes I will speak slower, but I try not to. I try to speak the regular rate that, and in fact, my sister asked me one time, they sometimes listen to me teach. And my sister asked me, she said, Holly, do your students even understand you?
Ah,
I said, yeah, of course they do. They don't always understand me, um, and definitely the people that are at a not at a high enough level, they don't understand me. In fact, I had one student. Somebody sent me a message here on Verbling and said, "Why don't you teach beginning level students?" And I said, "Because they don't understand me." Because I cannot speak. I mean, I've tried to speak slow, and I have taught beginning levels. Before, but I don't slow down for people, and that's what people expect. So anyway, let's go on to the next one. We've got next two. Alejandro, can you read that?
What?
Next two.
Who? Yeah. Um, who's that man standing next to your car?
Oh, that's your brother. Don't you recognize him? So on top of yeah, Antonio, can you read that
And
one?
I dream of standing on top of Mount Everest.
Me too. That would be awesome. Only I don't want to climb up there. I want somebody to take me. So, so okay.
On
Out
top.
of Giancarlo.
He took a cigarette out of the pack and smoked it.
Okay, and very good at the past tense ed there. Excellent. Okay, outside of Alejandro.
There's a large forest outside of my town.
Really? Is that true?
No,
Oh,
only buildings.
okay. So what is outside of your town?
Uh, my town. Mm, Maybe ecological reserve near here.
Oh,
Near,
okay.
yeah, but you see, yes, it's a little ecological reserve
Okay.
near here.
Okay. And Antonio, what is outside of your town?
Well, Lima is a very big city, and I can say that every 2 years there are new things to say what's outside. At the
Mhm.
present time, what is outside is nice valleys, no?
Ah,
And restaurants, a lot of restaurants in those valleys.
oh really? Okay.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And Giancarlo, what is outside of your town?
What is outside of my town? The city, I think so.
The city.
Yeah, we don't have natural areas around my office.
Hmm.
Around my office comes the city,
Hmm.
buildings, buildings, malls. Yeah, yeah. Maybe if I want to see the forest and green areas, it is 2 hours from my home.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Cuernavaca, Puebla, uh, there are the closest places here.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then my town, I think some of you know, is a small town of 850 people, and outside of my town are farms, farms and more
Farms.
farms.
Oh,
So
farms.
we have a lot of what is it? I can't remember what they're called now, but it's for beer actually, for beer making. I can't remember the kind
Oh,
of farm it's called though. Oh well. Anyway, okay, Alejandro, out of. Can you read that one? Oh, we've done that one. Out
outside.
prior to.
Outside of
Prior to me.
Prior to.
prior, I never spoken to an Italian prior to meeting him.
Yeah,
Before, no?
I'm not sure how prior to is if that's really all that formal. It may be. Definitely, it is formal when it comes to writing. I think native speakers probably might not think of this one. They probably I'd never speak into an Italian before. I'd never speak into an Italian before meeting him. Is probably what
yeah.
most would say. But I can't completely agree that it's very formal. So okay, next one up to Antonio.
Okay, have to. Up to the present perfect tense describes a situation that started in the past and continues up to now. It's until now, I think, right?
Yeah,
Up to,
until up to or until now. Yeah,
and
up to
prior to before, I think, right?
yeah before prior to and before. Yeah.
But can you say before meeting him?
That's what I would have
Okay.
done if I was. I probably for most of these I could give you guys single prepositions for most of them. Not all of
Mhm.
them. Some of them are definitely things that are used a lot. For example, outside of my town, out of the pack, on top of the mountain. Next would be one. Let me think. Near my office.
Mhm.
Is that office standing next to my car, near my car, in front of my car, in front of the car. I think that would always be the same one used. Irish Sea is in between Ireland and Britain. I think that would be the only one. Are you guys still here? Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at my. Do you guys see my mouse? It's
Yeah, it's a circle.
circling. Why is it doing that? Alejandro, you're a computer guy. Do you know why my computer's doing that?
It sounds like something is standby, I think,
Yeah.
the mouse. Yeah. So, practice one.
Okay, so let's complete each sentence using one of the complex prepositions below. I'm trying to learn how to use this new Adobe that I have, and I've just learned that I can actually move each one of them down. It's kind of cool. So, Alejandro, can you try number one?
Yes, there's a cat sitting um, outside the garage.
Okay, can look at the next sentence and you'll get it.
Mm, can you get up there and make it leave?
So if it's outside, it wouldn't be can you get up there. So what do you think it would be to get up? To go
Mm,
up. Can you go up there?
uh, take, take, take it, or take him. Um, next to, maybe?
No? Can anybody help them?
Can you go there? I think. The same as get up there. Can you go there and make it leave?
Yeah, but to get
Go
up,
there.
well, because it says can you get up there, which one of these prepositions? Where is the cat sitting? Cats couldn't be sitting near the garage or next to the garage.
Okay.
On top of.
On top of, yeah. So the cat is sitting on top of the
Yeah,
garage.
that's true.
Okay.
This is the top.
Yeah, because it
high
says
position.
can you get up there? So, all right. And Antonio, can you read number two?
Yeah, where's the mouse? It was next to the keyboard, but I don't see it anymore.
Yeah, I hate it when my mouse disappears. It's not. I don't mean the other mice.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ahead of or next to? Ahead of.
you don't like that one?
I said next to. I don't know. It's correct. I think so.
It was next to the keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually it's next to the keyboard.
Uh-huh. One time I was teaching and um, I looked over at this table next to me and there was a mouse. There was a real mouse going through this. I'm like going, really? And so we had called an exterminator the next couple of days later.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. So Giancarlo, can you read number three?
The police car stopped in front of the driver to make him stop.
The police car stopped in front of the driver to make him stop. Yeah, that's too bad. I got stopped this weekend for the very first time in my life with a.
What was the reason?
Well, I was up in the mountains and I was driving, and we had just gone through this little town on the highway, and we stopped at a I think it was a convenience store, and I was just leaving, and the speed limit was 35. And I remember I looked at the sign and it said 35. I looked down at my speedometer and my speedometer said 45.
That's
And then and then right after that I looked up and there was a cop right there. And so it was as I drove by, the lights went off. And what happened was he drove up to the passenger side of the car. He didn't get out of the car at all. He drove up to the passenger side, and my mom rolled down the window, and he said, "Just want to warn you, slow down." So I was like, "Thank you."
You were lucky.
Because I was very lucky. I'm a grandma driver though, so I usually drive very slow and very careful. And so the fact that I was even caught speeding 10 miles over was very, very rare. So.
And these guys, the police officers, get out of nowhere. Suddenly they show up.
Yeah, they do. It's like, really? Yeah. All right. Alejandro, could you do number four?
Yes. Take your hands out of your pocket and help me.
Yes, out of your pocket and help me. Perfect. So bear with me. Come on. Okay, trying to work on this. Okay, I'll get used to this new one, and then I'll start using the old one again. So okay, okay. And Antonio,
Did
number
you learn
5.
any Italian prior to moving to Italy?
Of course not. It's more fun to learn it when you're there, isn't it?
Mhm.
um,
Okay, that's true.
what do you think?
Well, if you have the chance to travel to the place where the language that you are learning is the mother tongue language,
Yeah.
it would be a good idea to spend some days there, no?
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. All right, Giancarlo, number 6.
Number 6. I found a note maybe next to the cover and the first page of the book.
It's not next to, because
Uh-huh.
um, um,
Maybe in front of, maybe? No.
no,
The cover and the first page, two sides.
On top of, on top of.
no.
Oh
Anybody
my
want to help
goodness.
him with that one?
In between.
In between. So if it's in between the cover and the first page of the book.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So once you find the answer, you're like, of course. Why didn't I see that before? So, all right. Alejandro, number 7.
Outside of the main cities, there's only desert.
And this was the easiest one. You know why? It's the
Yes.
only one that had a capital letter, and it's the
That's
first one.
true.
Outside of the
Oh
main
yeah.
cities, there's only desert. If you guys ever travel to Idaho, you can drive one way and you'll go to the desert, and the other way you'll go to the mountains. It's really nice if you like both.
Montana,
So
Idaho.
yeah,
Idaho. Okay.
Idaho. Yeah. Antonio, number 8.
Yeah, you don't need to take the bus. The cafe is very near my house, or near
Yes,
to my house.
near to. Yeah, you have the problem with that one too. I do not like it.
Mhm.
It's very. In fact, I prefer close to. And close, you can't say the cafe is
That's
very
true.
close to my house. You have to have close to my house.
What about, sorry, what about if I say the cafe is nearby? It means
If the
that
cafe
it's
is nearby
supposed to
my
be.
house, yeah, that would be fine too.
Okay. So I don't need to say my house if I say nearby?
And the cafe is you would say the cafe is nearby, yeah.
Okay, so anybody who hears that sentence, the cafe is nearby, must understand that I refer to my house.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
it's in context. Or the cafe. You don't need to take the bus. The cafe is very close.
No,
You
okay.
can do that. You can put my house. Depending on context, but it depends on uh, the whole sentence, because if it's not going to be understood, then you really need to add my house.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be in the place where you are at that moment. No,
Hmm.
because it's
Exactly.
very
And
nearby. It's nearby, near the place where you are at that moment.
exactly.
Mhm. Okay.
So, all right. Next, let's see. And Alejandro, number 9.
The fire was very hot, so we tried to stand uh, mm, what was uh, um, away from
Yeah,
the flames.
away from the flames. So you must have been camping. So, yeah, and then Antonio.
Okay, let me see. Um, at the moment, Julia is away from me, but I still have a chance to reach her.
No, it's either ahead
Mm,
of or up to.
up to me.
No, it's this one. It's ahead of. So maybe you and Julia are having a race. So she's
Okay.
ahead of me, or she's ahead of you on the freeway, for example, something like that. Okay,
Ahead
Jean,
of me. Okay.
yeah, Giancarlo, number 11. Can you read that one?
The business was very successful. Mm,
Only one left.
up to.
Hmm.
2010, after that year, profits started to fall.
Perfect. Up to 2010. After that, the profits started to fall. Excellent. Very good. Um, any questions about any of these? Up to business was very successful. Up to um, and I like how you said the year. 2010 I think is how I would always say it. Anything after 2010 I would always say with the 20s. Before 20 from year 2000 to year 2009 you wouldn't actually say 20. So 2000 to 2009 is definitely the other way. Um, practice 2. My voice is leaving me, so sorry about that, people. So Alejandro, can you read number 1?
The Second World War lasted from 1939 up to 1945.
Up to 1945. Very good. All right. And Antonio, can you read number 2?
Yes. Okay. Let me see. He was standing right in front of me. I couldn't see a thing.
Okay, in front of me. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to write these. I just realized this. He was standing right in front of me.
I couldn't see a thing. Yeah.
In front of me. I couldn't see a thing. Perfect. Okay, and number 3, Giancarlo.
Kate was standing two policemen, one to her left and one to her right. She felt very safe.
So what is a complex preposition?
She was standing between or in between.
Yes, in between. Between two policemen. It must have been good policemen because not all policemen are good. So, question for you. Okay.
Prior to 2001, you could fly to the US without strict security checks.
Yes.
No.
That's actually true.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, and you could fly out of it. The airports were so easy. And I remember my mom saying to me, Holly, you need to move back to the States, because I was living in Finland at the time, and she said, if it could happen here, it could happen everywhere. And so I had to explain to her that in most of the airports I'd been to in the world, that I'd seen machine guns, and it was very strict security, but not in the U.S. And she's like, really? I didn't know that. It was really funny. A question for you guys. I was talking to another student of mine today from Japan, and I asked him what the Japanese thought of the riots in Baltimore. And his thought was, nobody really gave it a second thought because this happens in the United States all the time. Is that kind of the idea also in Latin America?
Well, in fact, what happens here is that the reason why there's violence in here is because of they want to steal something or a revenge from passion, but not in the way that I realized it. The very first time I saw something like this was when Sean Lennon was killed. No, it's all of a sudden somebody killed him, and the guy was not a delinquent. He was just only a fan of his. And then the schools, the students are killed by somebody who got crazy. That's not happening here. I mean, Latin America happens violence, but it's because they want. It's a drug. It's a question of drugs, robbers. But no, all of a sudden, my neighbor kills me. No, that's not. That's not happening.
Was it big news though in Peru, Antonio? Was it big news about Baltimore? Or was it like
it was not in the headlines. It was not in the headlines. But most of people here tend to read local news. But others like me, I usually read international news, and I could read in my iPhone in the CNN probably as a headline. It's a
Yeah.
notification. No? Immediately I learned about that. No?
How about Alejandro? What about in Argentina? Did anybody really think much about it? About the Baltimore riots?
The security checks
No,
when you fly.
no, the riots in Baltimore.
Mm,
Did you even hear about it?
no.
Okay, in a couple days ago, apparently there was a black youth or black man who was killed at the police station, and after his funeral, there started this huge riot in Baltimore, and it kind of was like a race war. But if you guys didn't hear anything about it, did you guys hear it?
Yes, yes, I hear about that.
Okay, but it was no big deal because it's like it happens like this all the time. What did you guys think in Mexico? Was it just normal news from the U.S.?
Yeah, it was a normal news because we
Mhm.
are really busy about
Mhm.
the things that happened in Mexico, the things that happen in Mexico,
Uh-huh.
and maybe this kind of information is a little bit far from Mexico.
Uh-huh. So it's
So it's interesting because it contains a little bit a political situation.
mhm.
It's a political situation and all that kind of stuff. But we are really busy
Mhm.
in our country, in our uh, personal situation here in Mexico.
Mhm. Okay.
No
Yeah.
big deal, no big deal.
Yeah. And I was kind of surprised about that, but then I realized, yeah, I guess that's true because the United States does have this happen every couple years. So,
Hmm. But no, 6 months ago, prior to this event in Baltimore, I heard something in Illinois. I'm not sure, but
Illinois?
it was almost a year ago or 6 months ago. Illinois, and another black boy was killed too.
Yeah. I'm
And
just to let you know, just I moved to Illinois in
Illinois, yeah.
um, I moved there in what do you call it when I was in graduate school, and it's actually Illinois without the S.
Yeah, okay, Illinois.
Yeah,
But
I didn't know that.
it's just so
Probably.
curious, that black community is usually involved in these kind of
Hmm.
things and riots.
Yeah.
But
Um, yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is. I mean, I don't really understand it, and the fact that I live in a very segregated, not segregated, but I live in the north. We have when I was growing up, we had it was white Americans and Mexican Americans, and that was it in my area.
mhm.
And and so I really didn't I do not really understand the race issue. My brother, it's interesting. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he's actually married to a black lady, and I think of he probably understands it a lot better. But I've never talked to him about it. I probably should just call him and say what's going on. So, but
I hope everything gets better in that
I
place,
I
much
do
more.
too. It's I mean it's far removed from my place where I live and so forth. So I mean I'm sure there's racism here too, but um, all right. So number 5, Alejandro, can you do that one?
If you stand on the top of the hill,
Mm-hmm.
you can see the whole village.
Okay. Yeah. So if you stand on top of the hill, you can see the whole village. Perfect. And number 6, Antonio.
The magician pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Everybody was amazed.
Every time I see that, I think of the movie Frosty the Snowman.
Hmm.
You guys know that movie? It's a kids Christmas movie, Frosty the
Frosty.
Snowman. and he became Frosty became a snowman, became a walking, breathing, live, sentient snowman because of a magician's hat.
The movie's Frozen, I think, right?
No, it's no. That's
Another
there
one.
is. I don't think that the Frosty the Snowman was made years and years ago, and it's
Okay.
you could probably find it on YouTube.
Oh.
But all right, Giancarlo, can you do number 7?
Yes, number 7. The runner was away from his competitors. How do you read it?
Competitors. So
Com- competitors.
competitors.
The runner
Now,
was away from his competitors.
instead of away from, there's another one that's better. Away from. Instead of that, it's actually should be ahead of.
Ahead of, yes, ahead of his
Yeah.
competitors for most of the marathon, but he lost the race in the last 10 minutes.
Yes.
If you put away off, or away from, sorry, it gives a sense. Does it give a sense of something like something bad? Because I heard that sound, that expression, "Get away from me." It sounds like you are something bad to me, so please get away from me. Is away from? Does it have a bad sense or something like that?
If you say it that way, yeah. Get away from
Okay.
me.
And why not here was away from?
And this
For
one,
them.
well,
Yeah.
ahead of is the other one that would work is in front of.
Okay.
In front of the runner was in front of me for most of, or in front of the competitors for most of the marathon. But ahead of or in front of means basically you're winning, but away from is you're just separate, but you're not. It doesn't say where you are. Are you in front or are you behind? And stuff you're away from. Okay, number 8. Alejandro, can you try that one?
Who are those people who live close to your house? They are my new neighborhood.
Yeah, so near to your house or close to. Close to isn't in this exercise, but it works too. Close to your house. They are my new neighbors. Do you guys actually know your neighbors?
Well, the place where I live is a apartment building, and definitely I don't know them because each one of the apartments are separated by corridors. But the tendency here is not to get involved in the lives of the others. But in the place where I used to live with my parents, and yeah, all the neighbors get to know each other because it's like a neighborhood and their houses. I believe that's the reason why. You know?
Okay, yeah. I just met one of the neighbors a couple weeks ago, and I've been here for 2 years. And it's a neighborhood, so it's like, really? I lived across town, and I got to know all the neighbors within a couple weeks. But it's kind of weird. Each section of the neighborhood is different. Everyone, I want to thank you for your participation. I hope you learned a little bit about some complex prepositions and had a good chance practicing and also speaking as we did that spontaneously. And it was nice meeting you, Antonio, and it's always nice to see you, Giancarlo and Alejandro. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Holly.
Bye.
Bye.